Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have a conversation about the AI control gap. And let me start by setting a little bit of context. So AI is changing how Salesforce teams build, test, govern, and release. Code is being generated faster and faster these days, as you know. Organizations want to use autonomous agents to take on more complex workloads, and compliance expectations are expanding as AI becomes more embedded across enterprise operations. These are things that you all know. But speed without control creates risks. We're going to talk today about how Salesforce teams can close that gap between AI-driven innovation that everybody seeks and the enterprise governance to which everybody must adhere. We'll also discuss a little bit about how to secure AI-generated code, validate autonomous agents, and then maintain that audit evidence needed to prove the compliance as Salesforce becomes more intelligent and more automated. My name is Michael Hornsby, and at AutoRabbit, I manage our public sector business and our global partnerships. I spent nearly 9 years at Salesforce in customer success roles. Prior to that, 8 years in the federal government as a federal executive. But in both cases, I really just focused on customer outcomes. My guest today is Prashant Samadrula, our VP of Product. And Prashant is responsible for our automated release management tool, which we call ARM. And in this role, Prashant works with our engineering teams, our customers, our partners, to ensure that he designs a purpose-built automated solution and AI solutions for our delivery teams that use our products. Prashant, I want to start at the very beginning. And first of all, welcome in. I mean, we'll keep this casual. Welcome in. Let's start at the very beginning. How do you define the AI control gap, and where are you seeing it most often?
Well, that's a very, very fascinating question, Michael. So I think when we say the AI control gap, it's literally the distance between a POC, a hobby project that you want to take up, to something that you actually want to put in production and get value out of it. So the control gap is what I'm observing across multiple customers, and this is a common thread across literally every ecosystem that we're looking at. The big problem seems to be that how do we know that a probabilistic system like artificial intelligence is able to give you strong deterministic answers, right? And so that's one part of the equation. And the other part of the equation is AI is a technology revolution that actually moves people from automation to autonomy, right? This is like your, I don't know how many of you have Teslas, but it's like sitting in a Tesla and pushing a button and say, take me to my point, from point A to point B. I'll like literally push off a button. And everything that is involved underneath in terms of reading the road, reading the oncoming traffic, moving the steering wheel, adjusting the speed and whatever, right? All of that is autonomous, right? So when it comes to software in our line of work, when you want to take autonomy into Salesforce, what does that mean, right? So there's a lot of questions in terms of how can you take POC projects to production and at the same time get more autonomy. But when you have more autonomy, that is more autonomy, meaning you have to let go of control. Letting go of control is the hardest human thing to do. So how does all of that come together? I think that's really is the control gap. And the great news, Michael, is we've been seeing this for the last 18 months. So if you're building the tools, the practices, and I'm telling you right now, it's just not one tool answer. There is no single tool answer. It's a combination. Just like in the old world DevOps, we used to say DevOps is not a tool. It is a combination of people, process, and tools. It is the same thing here for fixing the AI control gap. I think it requires more DevSecOps. It actually requires more ways humans can judge outcomes. So we're building. So the good news is the gap exists, but as AutoRabbit and as Extension AI practitioners, we're all looking at ways where we can sort of start bringing that, burning that control.
So if humans want control and they know that this control gap exists, why are they adopting AI faster than they can control it or govern it?
Well, that's a very, very good question. I think it is about doing less work and doing what you actually like, right? Like, for example, when I was in school, I thought I would be a DJ or a musician or a music producer, like take a different turn. But now, and I have no complaints. But what I can do now is, while AI is doing the work for me, I can go and look at hobbies, interests that motivate me, satisfy me, and keep the human side of me creative, bright, and ambitious. So I think, why do we need autonomy? We need autonomy to do the things that we are not able to do, and that's not work. So it's to do less work and do what like move into probably the creative stuff. That's a philosophical answer. But the other part of this equation, like the real part of this equation, is you want autonomy because you will be able to do more. And when you're able to do more, your customers, whoever they are, they could be, if it's a hospital, if it's a healthcare system, it could be your patients. If it is a bank, if it's a credit union, they could be your, borrowers. Whoever it is, they would be able to experience more from you. So it is very, very important that we, as humans, do less work so that AI does more work for us, even in volume, and we're able to do the things that uh, really bring us close to our end customers.
So I think we're going to have a sidebar about your DJ career that you didn't get started, but that's for another day. So the question then becomes for me is just because you have the desire to have autonomy, the desire to do less of the things or less of what you don't like doing, doesn't mean that you have a strategy. So when you talk to customers and they say they have an AI strategy, what do they really mean?
Uh, well, again, I'm not taking any shots, but when I hear customers having, and we had the same problem at Honor Rabbit, let me be very honest here. We had the same problem at Honor Rabbit where our CEO about a year ago said, we need an AI strategy, we need AI in all of our products. And what that meant for most of it is, okay, let's slap a chatbot on our website and use GPT in the background, or any other model provider in the background, and run the service side of things, right? So in terms of what enterprise are getting this wrong, is they're only using AI as a chatbot,
Mm.
uh, and it can do so much more. And if you've seen the leaps in evolution, uh, so there were chatbots, and then now there are agents, and then there will be agent swarms, meaning multiple agents coming together to complete a task, and there will be agent organizations, meaning an entire business function unit would be able to would be run by an AI. And we are seeing very early examples of this. I've seen a startup company use agentic organization in order to run their content generation for their marketing team, the entire content generation plan, right from the campaign ideas, right from what channels they'll be using, what is the message, the creatives, and so on and so forth. That entire thing is being handled by a single person who is just looking at a swarm of agents or an organization of agents. So uh, so the gap is between a chatbot and autonomy, right?
Yeah.
And I think what we should be talking about is how we can not only help customers, solve for those initial low rung use cases like the chatbots, but also this high complexity work that AI agents can actually complete today.
That makes sense. So two things occur to me based on your answer. One is, how did you help AutoRabbit do more with this AI strategy, going from sort of a simplistic bot approach to something more complex? And then the second question is, how do you help our customers also develop their AI strategy?
Very, very good question. So in terms of Auto Rabbit, the first thing that we had to do is we had to like figure out where does how do we unlock the organization, right? And this is when you have a large group of employees, it's really hard to tell people what to do or like how to do things. What
Yeah.
you can do is you can tell them the outcome that you're expecting. For example, at our Rabbit, we unlocked a bunch of AI tools, and then for every department, we sort of gave the guidance that is required. We gave them a guidance and we gave them a target, right? How you take this guidance and how you use yourself, AI, in combination and complete that outcome was uh, was sort of the rule that we had. So, for example, our sales team got a bunch of AI tools, which now look at our opportunities, the recordings of from our customers, the different interactions that we have with prospects, and they sort of help our sales team put together codes, presentations. They help our SE teams put together use cases, how to do objection handling, and so on and so forth. And for our engineering teams, product and engineering teams, we're able to move away from the traditional wireframing, and we're able to sort of launch, let's say, level one application, which has like almost complete functionality, but it does not have all the functionality. So every individual at our Rabbit is using AI in a different way and shape and form. And that same thing is converting into our products. So our products now have more AI features than any other competitor in the space, and in an extremely creative way. So we are using like just not using it as a chatbot analogy and understanding how transformers work. The obviously so the
Right, of course.
transformer technology works and understand how context works, how context is understood by a certain category of agent, and then using them to create features. Like for example, we have something called as the CPA pipelines, which is context plan action. This is literally where based on the number of when you generate a piece of code or unit of work, that unit of work gets reviewed by a bunch of things like static code analysis, posture management, unit tests, code coverage, and a whole lot of different things. But at the end of the day, when you move a signed artifact into a Salesforce environment, and let's say that the deployment fails, how do you start understanding where the deployment fails? So today in our ecosystem, that is one of the biggest problems. When a deployment fails, going back and understanding why it failed is one of the biggest problems. So what we did is we built an agentic system which looks at the logs, looks at the different contexts that we are providing it from the environment, from these different tools, from static code analysis or code coverage or whatever it is, right? And then it creates its own plan. Its own plan, Michael. It's not a human plan. Its own plan, and figures out, okay, here are the adjustments that I'm going to be making, Mr. Human. Are you okay with this? And you're just in that judgment layer. And this is something we'll talk more about in our conversation, where humans are moving into the judgment layer, and to complete the CPA, all the human has to do is say that, yeah, this looks good, and approve it. So there, you probably saved about an hour's worth of work with to a second. Like
Yeah.
like like I that's like a huge
Yeah,
block.
no doubt. One of the things that slightly different from the conversation that we had planned to have, and I'd love you to just give your honest feedback. What surprised you most about unleashing the creativity to use AI in our development of our products in ways that we maybe didn't even think about prior to, our activity? And I'll let you spend more time on the activity, but like what really surprised you?
Agency, human
Uh,
agency, like what people are capable of if you put them, if you give them the right tools, and if you give them the right space, if you
yeah,
will,
yeah,
and the kind of creativity that we have seen is unparalleled. I'll give you an example. We ran a hackathon internally, and a bunch of interns, Michael, interns, right?
Yeah.
These are Gen Alphas now. I don't know what generation that is now.
They're younger than you and I. How about that?
Yeah, a lot. But so a group of interns used AI tools to figure out one of the complex use cases that we put in the hackathon, and they did so much better than a bunch of seniors, really battle tested engineers, right? They were on par with them. It's like giving a calculator to a 10-year-old and a 40-year-old and asking them to do the same math, right? So it all comes down to how fast you can type on your keyboard or how fast you can type on your calculator. So that is the biggest thing that surprised me: human agency, right? Like if
Yeah.
you want, it is there.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's the biggest surprise for me, and just not in our teams, even with our customers. Like some of the customer conversations that I'm having, like incredible things that they're thinking about doing, and it's just not. And like the second order, the third order effects of it is felt downstairs. Like I was talking to my friend Will Jung, who's the CTO of Encino. It's a very well established bank operating system, and we were talking about so, well, I asked him, so, well, what does it mean with they want something called as the banking partners, where multiple AIs actually look at, they do the underwriting thing, they read the documentations. It's really fancy. So, what I asked him, like, what does it mean? Like, what does it mean to the bankers? And he said something very, very, very resonating with me. He said, "Well, our bankers will have more time to have conversations with their customers, so more empathy." And I was like, "Yeah." So it's just not about automation, right? It's very human. It's very emotional. So now banks would be able to, and he was telling me like banks would be able to give out more loans. When you give out more loans, you're actually pumping money into the economy, right? People's lives are getting better. We are having real conversations. We're not just talking about where is this document, where is that signature, or where is that proof, right? All of
Yeah.
that work is being done by the AI. And here the banker is, well, let's play golf
Yeah.
with
Of course. So, going back a little bit, what I'm gathering is that for us as a technology company, we were able to unleash a hackathon to give people, our teams, agency to develop in different ways. Not all industries are able to do that. Not all sectors are able to do that. How do you, and maybe give an example, how do
yeah.
you help our customers then develop their AI strategy, or at least think through what they're calling the AI strategy to get it focused around outcomes?
Very good question. So I think the conversation starts at a very high level, right? Like whatever company that you're working with, I ask them like, and this might sound too broad, but believe me, this is what the conversation is. I ask them, what's your mission statement? Like, what does your
Hmm.
company set out to do,
Hmm.
right? And this could mean different things for different companies, right? So if for example, let's say there's a bank, and the bank's mission statement is, improve the lives of end customers. Well, how exactly are you going to improve it, right? So mission statements were always these big, broad, like the soul of the company, right? Like who it's like, who are you? Like the big question, the
Hmm.
big philosophical question, who are you? So for the company, that's the mission statement,
Hmm.
right? At least one part. So the conversation that we have is okay. So if you boil down your mission statement and let's say what is the work that you're doing through your Salesforce, right? I'll stick to the banking example for a second, but in banking, you're able to you need to look at a lot of documents. You need to look at eligibility. You need to look at the person's background and a ton of different things, right? And when let's say that now you want to say that okay, I want to make this customer's life better. It doesn't start with let me review your documents, right? It starts with how much money do you want to borrow? what do you want to borrow it for, and how can the bank help, right? Like maybe we can do more for you, right? So I think what we do is we ask our customers like what is it that they want to achieve, right? Give us broad statements, and we will figure out how does that fit into the everyday working of the company, right? We've helped banks, we've helped healthcare systems, um, we've helped utility providers. We've helped insurance companies without taking many names, but we sat down with them and we started asking these questions. All right. So what are you doing with Agentforce? What are you doing with your data cloud? How many other technologies do you have? Right. So the biggest unlock that people want is how can you do more work through agents and less work through humans? And At the end of the day, how do you meet the mission statement of the company? I'm sorry for the long-winded answer, but
No, no,
it
of
starts
course.
there. It
Yeah, I get
starts
it. So we work a lot with regulated industries. As I said at the top of the call, I work with the federal government, public sector. We work a lot with banking. We work with healthcare. What makes it particularly challenging in those regulated industries to get AI strategy going?
Well, it's the same conversation that people had a long time ago when these regulated industries were going through digital transformations, right? When they were going from racks to cloud, right? It's sort of a similar conversation, and the only difference is the regulations are different, and the regulations are new. Some of them tested, some of them untested. Uh, but what we are able to so what we are doing is we're putting a ladder for them, right? And we're calling that ladder graduated autonomy, meaning you don't have to automate everything end to end on day one, right? We will give you levels of automation, levels of autonomy. And these levels of autonomy can be opportunity forecast amount moved from 50,000 to 100,000, right? This is a very, very small change, right? It does not require a ton of processing. It does not require a ton of judgment. So for these use cases, when the AI writes the code, you can ask it, like you can ask the AI, are you able to satisfy these requirements? For
Mm,
example, when
yeah,
you change the $50,000 to $100,000, are you adding any more new lines? Or you just changing the number? Are you changing any permissions in the Salesforce org? Are you changing any integrations in the Salesforce org, and so on and so forth, right? And you get a
yeah,
report, like you
yeah,
literally get a report card, and when you get that report card, you can simply say, well, it doesn't. I don't even have to look at it. It's just changing a number from 50,000 to $100,000, and there are some tests to prove that out. Boom. All right, put that in production. Run it right now. Versus, let's say there's a more complex where you want to introduce, like you want to host a portal, and there's a big workflow on the portal where you take some information from your customers, process that information, ask them a bunch of questions, and so on and so forth. That kind of complexity of work probably will not go directly to production, right? So that kind of work, you want to create it in a sandbox. You want to go and have a bunch of tests on it. You want to have a second pair of human eyes, third pair of human eyes tested, and then move it into a user acceptance program where you bring in a bunch of customers, test the portal, and then put it into production. So it's the complexity, right? So the complexity will call what the graduated autonomy is. So what we are doing is we are building systems for our customers using this ladder, right? So based on the complexity of their environment, the complexity of their requirements, we are able to we are able to put in these automations or autonomy systems which move work from point A to point B based on its complexity. So that's the big unlock. And if you're talking about the coming back to our topic, like the AI control gap,
yeah.
you will never be able to dial down the control or dial up the control as a binary, right? Like it's not zero or one. The truth lies somewhere between, like what do you want to do, and how much can I trust the digital intelligence,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
So
we've gone from this conversation that was centered around AI doing everything to then, oh no, we need to be deterministic about AI. And now we're at graduated autonomy because we're realizing that if you don't have, if you don't give up some control to this technology, you can't realize the gains. You can't realize the actual benefit from it. So you have to give
absolutely.
up some control. And in regulated industries, the challenge is you do that at your peril if you give up all the control right away. So the
Yeah.
graduated autonomy is a way to really get good at something and then continue to build over time.
Yeah, and and the difference would be like you're taking 5 use cases to autonomy today versus 50 use cases to autonomy in the next 5 years, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
so the organization, especially in a regulated environment, they have to navigate use cases. They have to negotiate with a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different controls to understand what is really possible. So we're in those rooms every day. We are having those conversations every day with our customers, and we're jokingly saying, or rather I'm jokingly saying, that I can spin up 100 or 1,000 agents right now in 1 second, but the number of humans on the planet are the same. The number of skilled humans, the population did not go up, did not go down in this 1 second. So the amount of people who can judge work are the same, but the amount of work that is getting produced by these by these agents is almost equal to infinite. So now the currency, Michael, is attention, right? So we're in those rooms every day. We're figuring out what those use cases are. We are asking them what can be automated, and this the underlying theme of all of this is where can you give your attention to?
Is the conversation around automation getting easier in light of AI? Because
No,
many of the oh, that was
no.
I was hoping for a different answer because many of the regulated industries they were challenged with just automation.
Yeah, no, it's the conversations are actually even harder. It's like prove to me that this agent is not going rogue. And again, not to throw water on all of this, I probably heard about the Air Canada AI story, which recently made a lot of news in the AI community, where an AI took a certain hallucinated a certain decision, and what that transpired is Air Canada getting into a legal battle with one of its customer, right? So there are things like there are risks, there are liabilities. So it's not an easy conversation, and like I said in in our beginning of our conversation, giving up control is the hardest thing to do as a single individual. Giving up control as a group of individuals, aka company, is even harder.
Well, that's a little disappointing. But I was hoping the answer would be that automation was becoming a little bit easier conversation, but I totally understand. I
Yeah,
totally
it's like people want to do it. Like our customers and leaders, executives want to do it, but what they're asking is, and here is the proof. Like here is the hard line. Right? Like they're asking us to prove that it is not going to bring them down and actually meets the promise of more speed, less work for humans, and so on and so forth. So the conversation is harder, but the desire to make it is a lot.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, one of the things that folks on the call should know is that we are planning to be at Dreamforce in wow, a couple of weeks. It's coming up really quickly. Less than a month away. And Prashant and I and our whole executive team will be out there, and we'd be happy to schedule one-on-one sessions with folks on the call, with your organizations, to talk through building out your AI strategy or to talk through the challenges you're having to build out your AI strategy. We are fully immersed in transforming our organization, as Prashant has mentioned, in terms of relying more and more with building our products, the things that we are using out there to solve problems, using a lot more AI and a lot more development agents, a lot more generated code. We would be happy to sit down with you, and then we're going to have some meeting space there. And I think there's an opportunity for you to book rooms and join us in conversation. So we'd be happy to host you.
Yeah, and we probably will not be able to, like talk about every customer that we're helping on this call right now.
We
Michael,
should not mention them. Yes, you're right.
yeah, but we'd love to have a sit down with you. We'd love to understand your use cases. We'd love to give you more examples of what we're doing with other customers in the same verticals, especially in the regulated market. Like, the amount of customers we're able to move in the regulated sphere is just fascinating of what we're able to do.
Yeah. So our organization, nimble, small, scrappy, we were able to start to transition to AI generated code. Um, how is that changing for the customers that you're working with, that you're seeing do it? How's it changing the way that they approach developing products and getting them to market?
Well, they are fascinated with whenever we have closed room meetings with our customers. They're fascinated by the amount of work that we're able to pack in the shortest amount of time, get it in front of them. And Michael, I've been doing software for a long time, and whenever we talk about roadmaps with our customers, it's usually on a slide. There are some fancy colors and bars, and you paint the picture of hope and dream with your customer. uh, Believe me or not, our conversations have moved from that to showing them prototypes, right? Like almost near production prototype, and saying that here's how it'll actually look like. Here's what it will do. Here's where you will fit into this. So we moved away from just showing a slide and talking about dreams and hopes. We're actually able to show them what it'll look like, what the future will look like, and that won't be possible without AI. So our customers are fascinated just with that simple change, right? That simple change where we just don't want to be all talk, but we also want to show you where the puck is going, right? So that's one very interesting transition that I'm seeing, and the amount of energy in these rooms is simply phenomenal. Without taking a name, I was in a very one of the most valuable companies on the planet. We were sitting in a QBR. Their entire AI leadership was in the meeting room, and when we showed them some of the things that we are doing, they were so fascinated by that they wanted us to use their AI infrastructure stacks in order to do more. They're asking us, okay, this is great, and we want to partner with you. Like, I do not know how many how many of our customers said, we want to be your design partners. I have more design partners, and these are not, like scrappy startups. These are like well-established, well-funded, gigantic customers who want to be our design partners. So that's what it does. Like this change that we are seeing, right? The unlock that we did in our organization is being felt by our customers. They want to work more with us, right? They want to see where we can take the agent, the DevSecOps, and as an
Yeah.
extension, the AI and agentic use cases.
How do you reassure them around securing the code?
That's a
So,
very good question.
right. So they want to have agents as developers. They want to have AI generated code. How do you reassure them around securing that code?
Well, it's to our products. I think, and I'll be very honest. We did not plan for our products to be so sticky in the AI world, right? We have a static code analysis product which looks at quality issues, security issues, using very clear deterministic rules, right? Rules that are handcrafted. Michael, I'm just going to make a bet with you. Handcrafted software will make a comeback in probably 10 years. And people will actually pay premium for handcrafted things, just like how you pay premium for handcrafted candles, I guess.
There you go. Yeah.
So we're able to do more, right? Like, so our static code analysis tool looks at quality issues, security issues through very, very hard and deterministic lens. Our posture management tool has policies that we've learned from years of experience across different customers that spread across multiple layers of Salesforce, from its object layer to its permission layer to its user interface layer, and so on and so forth. Right? We have our release management tool that understands how packaging in Salesforce works. I'll tell you right now, AI is not smart enough to understand the Salesforce dependencies. Like,
Mhm.
the master detail, it can do the simple relationships, but when the lens sort of expands and you have to look at all the different layers, it's like without any added skills, the agents are not being, or the AI technology is not that uh, fascinating. We're compared to writing Python code, right? It can write great Python code. And we have a disaster recovery product. Well, in order to go fast, one of the main important things is when things go south, you're able to go back to point zero, right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, we did not plan to our products to be sticky. We've always operated with the principle that what do our customers need the most to be successful in what they are trying to achieve, right? And these are the tools that we came up with in the last couple of years. And every tool that we have provides a control to the AI world, right? CodeScan brings quality and security controls. Guard brings posture control. ARM brings the Salesforce specificity control, right? And Vault, our backup and recovery product, our Rapid Vault, will give you the ability to have backup snapshots, recover in time, and so on and so forth. There are a bunch of other use cases, and we are extending these use cases. I'll tell you something that you probably would not even like people generally dismiss this is, in order for an AI system to be production ready, you need to test it. Well, where do you get the data to test an AI system? You cannot use your production data because that's a no-no. You want to use a sandbox? Well, you can create some data manually, but in order to, how do you test a probabilistic system? Like if I ask you, hey, Michael, if I do 10 coin toss, how many times will I get heads and how many times will I get tails? Right? So it's a probability problem. And the only way to see through that probability problem is to watch all of the watch all the 10 coin tosses, right? And then you make a determination that, okay, here is the bulk of heads, here is the bulk of tails, this is what happens, blah, blah, blah. So we created something, in our Rabbit Vault product, we created a synthetic data generator, which looks at the Salesforce schema and creates volumes of data that a customer can use to test their AI system, right? So there are multiple use cases like this where we are using our products. Like I said, we didn't plan this; it just fell into our lap. We're using our products to create those deterministic controls that regulated industry customers, anybody who actually wants to do something with AI to meet their mission statement easier, right? Like we're giving you how that is possible. That's the road, right? When we have these conversations with our customers, and we say that here's how you can sort of start unlocking some of, go into that graduated economy, they're fascinated in terms of how we are thinking about this. And
So
I hope.
it makes sense. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it makes sense. But let me just ask a question because something else occurred to me about when you shift the work and you're able to develop code faster. However, you still need the human check. You still need eyes from technical teams for validation. I'm a former CIO and I'm thinking, hey, my team is telling me that they've got this new way of developing code, but they also have to do their manual checks. How do you calm me down around the bottlenecks that that's going to create? Or how do you talk to customers about not creating additional bottlenecks in their development life cycle?
Right. It's the conversation is around how do we accelerate, like Mr. CIO, I know you have a bunch of plans for 2026 and 2027. Here's how we can accelerate that work for you, right? So and that can be done in two or three ways. One is you can ask for more budgets from your directors, your stakeholders, and say that I want to hire a lot more people in order to do these things manually. Or you can think of it's like a 50-50, where you get the right people, right? You get the right AI tools, and you get the right companies like Autorabbit who understand, who see the full picture, right?
Yeah.
And then help you accelerate your roadmap, because you made every CIO, every CPO, every CTO has at least 24 months of plan, at least, right? So if we can bring down the 24 months of work to at least even 20 months, that's a big achievement,
Yeah.
right? So that's where our conversations start. Like, like what's your roadmap like? All right, and here are the things that we can definitely automate, or bring to autonomy, and here are things that we probably should not bring to autonomy. Like, for example, if you're trying to build an AI agent that gives out refunds, right? And if the refunds are in the order of, for 10 people in the order of $10, you probably don't have to like pay serious attention to it. But if it's in the order of 100,000 people and $10, that's a lot, right? You want somebody involved in looking through the logic of how the refund operations is going to work. Obviously, you cannot go through case by case for 100,000 people and have a human like make that decision, approve it, and even with that, you will have a certain error rate.
Absolutely. So now you made me think of something else. I'm still wearing my former CIO hat, and I'm thinking about now my 26, 27, 28 plans. What are the kinds of use cases that you're seeing in the field that are actually bringing back good results, right? Let's get beyond the bot thing. Like, what are you seeing that is meaningful and that is helping businesses get more comfortable around using AI?
Well, bringing systems together. I think one of the biggest drivers of conversations that I've seen is like for CIOs or CTOs, like having the enterprise, let's call it the enterprise integration plan, like the enterprise architecture, because an
Yeah.
enterprise has multiple systems. Salesforce is one of the systems that we work with,
Yeah.
but if you take a good bank, they will connect to the core banking system. They will connect to the credit information systems. They will connect it to master database. The master databases coming from other systems like their SAP or something like that, and they will be connected to these lead management systems where and portals where customers are actually coming in through the front door. So you have this network of systems that are connected with each other. And one of the problems that I'm seeing is not problems. Actually, the problem is getting solved. The problems that is getting solved is AI is able to sort of make leadership sort of zoom out and think how can each system share context with each other, because the moment you share more context between systems, you're certainly more productive, just because you have all the information all the time across all the places. That's like the biggest unlock that I'm seeing at an enterprise. Like CIOs, CTOs are able to zoom out and look at the picture as a whole and not as individual pieces of the system.
As you talk to these CIOs, is there advice that you give them around creating a culture to experiment, right? Some of it has to be coupled with the outcomes that they're looking for. So if you can paint the picture about the outcomes, then that's at least a favorable conversation. But like, what do you then tell them about, unlocking that creativity or not being so bound to the control of these systems, as sort of the theme of this conversation? How do you get them moving?
Well, it's the evidence, right? Like you'd be surprised how much, generally, like the leadership in these regulated companies uh, are able to move when they see enough evidence, right? Like evidence is everything that they desire, right? Like talk is one part, dreams and aspirations are the other part. Show me the work is the third part, right? So we are able to build out quick POCs for our customers. And to my point, and I'm not saying this will be on slide. We're creating prototypes that we are putting in front of in front of these our customers and asking them to see how that looks like. So that itself is a big change when it comes to driving the conversation forward, right? So now you've seen it with your eyes, right? Like this old saying, I have to see it with my eyes. It makes a ton of difference when than hearing it with my ears, right? Like,
Yeah.
so when customers are able to see the evidence, they want to move even faster. And here's a surprising thing: when we show them the evidence, they want to go even more faster. Like they're saying, okay, what more? Can we do 2x of this? So it's a very interesting, exciting world.
It's that relates back to your earlier comment about once people see something, all of a sudden their AI strategy comes really into focus. and
Yeah.
then they want us to move really quickly. When can I have this tool? When can I have this functionality?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's not about burning tokens. It's not about paying the hyperscalers a lot of money. It's about picking up individual pieces and bringing them to autonomy
Yeah.
and accelerating your roadmap. Like if you move the conversation away from how many ChatGPT licenses I have to how many use cases was I able to automate,
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
right? Uh,
It has to be about the outcomes. If people are focused around the outcomes, some of those use cases that they think are really strong just kind of fall away.
Exactly. So it's the the amount of unlock that we will see if companies are able to set up those guardrails, those control towers. We're headed for a very exciting future.
All right. I have one last question for you. A year ago, before we were on our journey, what's one thing you wish you knew before we started this AI journey that we're on now?
Oh, that's such a good question. I did not know how much deterministic controls would play a
Mm,
big role in
yeah.
this AI world, right? Like, so when we started on this, we were not even thinking about controls. Well, let me take that back. We're not thinking about like what kind of controls. We were only the control that we were thinking about is I have an engineer or I have a marketing guy or whatever guy, right? Like sitting in front of the computer, looking at the output and saying, okay, yes or no, and it all boils down to him. And if you have the kind of problem that most humans have, like GPT or Claude or whatever spits out a lot of text. It's not humanly possible to read through all that text in a short duration of time and make a conscious good or bad judgment, right? So 1 year ago, we were only thinking about, okay, Mr. Individual, you're responsible for this. So you have to make a good judgment call. And that was simply wrong, right? I did not give my team enough tools to make those deterministic controls. Now the conversation has shifted from, okay, so you've done something, show me, test that artifact across known parameters, and tell me what's the report. It's like getting a blood test, right? I don't have to get into surgery to know how my body, how healthy or unhealthy I am. I simply have to go get a blood test, right? So what we're saying is, show me the evidence, right? So 1 year ago, if I knew that kind of, if I had that information, it would have made a ton of difference. We would have probably gone 3x.
Wow. So great conversation, Prashant. Really appreciate the time today. And I'm not sure if we have any questions, but if we have questions from the audience, this would be a good time to take some of those questions and see if we can help folks out. I want to remind everybody while you're thinking about whether or not you want to ask a question that we're going to be at Dreamforce and we'd be happy to meet with you. You've got that way to book meetings with us there. Should be popped up on the screen. Book a meeting with us. Come talk to us. Come hang out and solve some problems with us. We want to make sure that we engage you all and have the opportunity to kind of go deep on the use cases that you're exploring.
Fantastic. Great conversation, Michael. Thank you very much for this.